Okay. So my name is Bianca. I own a photography business, Bianca Alexis Photo. You might know me from Studio Atelier. I also did some of the lookbook images for Roni Rabl, some Alambika stuff. So I'm just going to teach you how to make, what to do to take a good photograph of either yourself or other people. So I'll save questions until the end. And yeah, let's just get started. So right now I'm in front of a window. It's a very cloudy day in New York City, so it's technically not the best lighting, but you know, we're gonna work with what we have. So in this tutorial, I'm just gonna get up a lot and show you things. So this is the window that I'm working from. This is, you know, just a large building. The best type of lighting that you wanna have is indirect lighting. So you want to stay away from a glaring sun or a light bulb or anything like that. You want the light to actually bounce off and hit you. So I'm going to show you what bad lighting looks like. So this is my bedroom. So I'm going to, hold on. So this is just the closet, okay? So this is direct lighting. This is what you don't want. So if you can see the lighting on my face, I have a lot of shadows here and a bright spot here. So what you can do, instead of being directly in front of the light, you just take a step back. And then from there, the light gets softer and you can get a little bit less glaring light. So you see there's no hot spot on my face. The shadows underneath my eyes aren't that bad. And I have actually a really nice shadow underneath my chin that hides any disturbing double chins you might have, because I'm one of them. So that's one thing. And then also, I'm in the closet. So if I turn off the light and you have this light in front of you, so I'm in complete darkness right now. But if I'm inside the room, so you see that shadow right there? If I come forward, the lighting is just really nice and soft on my face. So always look around you for that shadow where it goes from dark to light right in the middle. And there you go, perfect lighting. Okay, the next thing is, of course, angles. So no one ever wants to have this, because it's not just like you get a double chin, your head is bigger and this is smaller and this doesn't make any sense. And I also don't want to see any of this. I call it the MySpace challenge. I don't like that. I mean, yes, you know, your face might seem smaller, you might seem skinnier, but it doesn't look natural. So you always want to keep your lens directly at your eye. Picture your phone or your camera like someone that you're talking to. So you can maybe lift up the phone just a little bit or bring it down just at eye level, just nothing too extreme, you know? So just a little bit like that. You can cock your head. You can look directly past the lens, you know, don't make exact eye contact. Sometimes it gives you more of like an ethereal feel. So that is one thing. Another thing about lighting I wanted to say is, say you wanted to take a selfie and you didn't have anybody to do it for you. You take your hand and you do this. So this is supposed to be your nose and this is supposed to be the inset of your eyes. And you can see that this and this matches the shadow. You basically can like bring the nose in more or bigger, whatever the face structure is like. And there you can see, I'll do something more extreme, just with the bad lighting. So you see here how the shadows are hitting the hand and the highlights are hitting the hand, or it's just how it's happening to my face. That's also a nice tutorial that you can do just to get good lighting. Another idea that I do is getting a piece of white paper. So say you're back in your closet, if you have to use that type of lighting, and you want less shadows on your face. You take a piece of white paper, any white paper, Basically what that does, it reflects the light from the paper back up to your face. So you see that? Dark, light. And that's it. Very simple. The next thing I want to talk about is your full-on portrait. Okay, so I hope you can hear me. So when you do a full-length body portrait, you would think that you want to do eye level, but no, because it will make your body look disproportionate. So you actually want to have your camera at navel level. And if you're worried about like, oh, okay, am I going to look a little bit big or it's not flattering, there's just some tricks that I can show you that will make you feel better. So basically have your posture as much as possible. You are a puppet. Strings are attached from the ceiling and you just extend your shoulders up and make sure that your back is flat and this part of your back is coming backwards. Your shoulders are very, very tight. I always, when I direct models, professional or just like you and me, the weirder it feels, the more awkward it feels, the better you look. That's just how it is. So, I mean, every time I take a picture, I'm like, this feels really awkward, or this is straining, or this is hurting. It usually is the best phenomenal picture. So when you do a full self-portrait, you want to keep your body relaxed in the waist, but more structured back here. And then just pose, you know? We all seen like fashion models, you know? But yeah, just make sure that everything just feels awkward, but just keep looking. And if you're worried about anything here, you just stick your chin out like this. It will feel very awkward. Here, I'll do it closer. So you stick your chin out like this, and then you pull your shoulders back. Now doing that at the same time feels really weird, but it most definitely works. So yeah. Oh. Can't forget about the shoes, right? So yeah, so just keep those shoulders back at all times and just keep taking as many pictures as possible. The other way to do selfies is to do in the mirror. So there you want to keep, you don't want to put it in front of your face, of course, but you want to keep it here around like your breast area, because if you take it here, it's too low. It's all about angles. And yeah, just keep posing. And that's it. When also you take your self-portraits, you want to keep everything accessorized. So here I have this necklace that blinks, and I have my rings. Even this septum ring is fake, it's not real. And one thing, especially when you're like, when you're taking the picture, take more of the background. Remember when you put it on Instagram or social media, you can always crop it. You can always modify it. You can't unmodify it. So don't take pictures like this. You want to take pictures like that, and then you could expand it. Also, if you're showing your accessories, no floating body parts, okay? You want to have your joints being shown. So, I mean, I have to get back more. But like maybe something like this coming out, but you don't want this line to be cut off because it just looks weird. It's just floating body parts. So yeah, those are my suggestions. I'm going to open up to questions if I can find. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, just let me know.
I have a question, Bianca, about when you said that you're taking a full body portrait, and you put your phone in a distance, but you said it's coming from below, right? It's more of a below thing.
Coming from the navel. You want to have...
Bianca, can you make me a host again, and I can control the noise levels?
Okay.
Be a photographer.
Oh, guys, just mute yourself, guys.
And what about tripods or something that holds the
Like
phone?
glue that would make
Hold on. Let's just wait. Bianca's gonna make me a host. I'm gonna mute everyone, and then we're gonna go one by one.
Okay. We forget about the noise.
Okay.
I did on my other phone. I gotta fix it on this one.
Okay. Bianca, you're back. Bianca, are you with us?
Oh, no.
Now I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
I didn't, and I also read you the questions that we have on the chat, but I didn't hear what you told me, what you said.
Okay, so just repeat the question so that everybody can hear it.
So the question again is about a full portrait, full body. So if I want to take it right, like I'll do it myself. So I put the phone away from me so I see my full body, but I go lower angle.
So you want to make sure wherever your phone is, it's going to be at your navel. And that
Navel.
will be, yeah, at your navel. That's like the best way to get the best portrait. Now, if you're taking a selfie in the mirror, you want to hold it at your breast. It's just the way the angle is, because you're going to be closer to the mirror. That's why you don't want it to be angled so low. But when you're farther away and you're doing a self timer, you want it at your navel.
You got it. And and I'll read you the questions on the chat, and I know also that Erica had a question. So Denise is asking about sunlight and outdoors. How do we do that?
Okay, Aline, do you want to unmute Denise?
Let me find her. Denise, where are you?
I'm right here.
There you are. Okay. Yeah, you guys can unmute yourself. I gave you the option to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'm here. So my question is, if you're taking a selfie outside, how do you work with sunlight in terms of direct, indirect, shadows?
So, so like in this urban jungle that I live in New York City, there's always direct sunlight, but there's always a place. It could either be a tree, it could be scaffolding, it could be a building blocking the sun. Do you remember where I was in the closet and I showed you that shadow at my feet to look for? So always find that shadow when the sun hits a building or hits a dark spot and it starts going back to light. You want to stand in front of that shadow, because then you have indirect sunlight filling your face, but then you have direct sunlight hitting the ground and bouncing up at the bottom of your face, and it gives you this really amazing warm glow that's just beautiful. And you don't have to do any retouching or anything like that. It's like the perfect lighting. You just have to open your eyes and just find it, but it's everywhere, no matter where you live, what part of the country you are in.
So even if you're in Central Park, same thing?
Yeah, Central Park is perfect because you have so many trees.
So you use the tree as the thing to create a shadow?
Yes, and then you stand basically where the tree shadow ends and the light begins, right in the middle.
Okay, thank you.
So there's another question. How do you photograph things, not people? The same rules?
No, objects like product shots. Do you want to unmute the person to ask that question so I can?
Georgia, you want to say more about your question? Unmute yourself. Oh, Georgia, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself.
Where is she?
Yeah, she's doing it. She did it.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay, so sometimes we photograph things, accessories and clothing. Maybe we lay them on the floor, not on a model, not on a mannequin. And
Okay.
that's it.
And you're talking about clothing or accessories, like?
All of it. Clothing,
Okay.
accessories. We also carry gifts. So those.
Okay. And you're using what kind of lighting?
Overhead.
Overhead.
Okay, just like the light in back of you, something like that. Okay, so actually that's perfect, because the way that lighting is, it's already diffused. So it's basically like a sun with a bunch of fluffy white clouds going underneath it, which already makes diffused lighting. So if you put,
It's open at the bottom. What we have is track lighting mostly.
Okay, track lighting is actually the worst lighting to ever photograph with. But if you take a white umbrella or take gauze or a sheet to put over the track lighting, it will diffuse that light to make it softer. Track lighting is way too hard. You can't use that. But the angle of how you're shooting it, especially if you're doing overhead lighting with an overhead angle, that's perfect. The only thing that I would recommend is to diffuse your lighting with extra material, but also don't burn the house down. You want to make sure that your fabric is far away from the light so that it doesn't catch on fire.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Jen, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
So my question is, what's the best way to take a full-length picture of a customer?
In what way? To make them feel comfortable or the right angle, or?
Usually because they want to see what they look like in a photo, but they also want to share it with family members.
Okay, so more so than the photo itself, like the angle and the lighting, is to make your customer feel as comfortable as possible. You need to give them tons of like, you look great, you look awesome, I wish I could, this outfit would look that good on me. You have to really boost them up, because if they're a little bit on the fence about how they look, and they might already do, it's going to show in the photo 20 times more. So that's the first step. Give them tons of like happy quotes, everything like that. Then I would actually shoot them in the corner of a store, because in the corner, they'll have something to put their back towards and they'll feel more comfortable. Because if you're standing, someone that's not a model or doesn't photograph all the time, they're just going to be standing there with their shoulders like slumped and like weirded out. So you can pose them in the corner so they can put their back on the left, their back on the right, and it'll make them feel more comfortable and at ease. And then I think through those photos, I think they'd be very, very happy with the outfits and more comfortable with themselves too.
All right, most of the time we're doing it, and it's a full-length evening gown. So we've got them up on a pedestal. Otherwise, I've got X number of feet of excess fabric draping all over the floor.
Okay.
And when that happens, then the fabric comes back up to their body and makes it look wider and rounder. Therefore, we use a step stool. You can't always do that up into a corner.
Okay. So with that, so is it more just like gowns? That's what you're talking about? Okay. Yeah. So if you're talking about those type of customers that are going in for like big parties and gowns and weddings and stuff like that, maybe give them an accessory. Give them something that they would actually carry when they're wearing that gown. And maybe that would also put them at ease too. Of course, make sure that there's no overhead track lighting. And if there is, if there's 2 track lightings here, put them in the middle, or like as far away as possible. And I think that would probably make a better photo. If you want to maybe send me a photo or 2 that, you know, or a picture of the space, maybe I can give you more ideas if I visually see it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Erica, you had a question. Can you unmute?
I was wondering about apparatus to hold the phone if you don't want it in the selfie in the mirror, or like you put your phone down and walked away from it. Was that just leaning against something on a table? Do you have a little tripod or?
So right now, so what I did, I had a, it was just a radiator.
Oh.
So I just put it there. This I bought from Amazon. This holds iPhones and iPods. And this, you know, it goes way up, it angles down or anything like that. I wouldn't buy anything, especially if it's just your phone. I wouldn't buy anything like a real tripod or anything like that. But you know, you can just, sometimes I'm taking selfies because my husband's too busy, and I just take 2 bottles of wine and I just put it together. You know, you don't have to buy anything extra or anything like that.
All right.
Cool. Let's see. If anyone has a question, just unmute yourself.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, go ahead, Sandy, you first.
No, it's okay.
So we actually are using a tripod because we're old and we shake. So you don't shake. So And actually Susan's husband had an extra tripod, and we just ordered that the mounts from the internet that will hold your iPhone or your iPad. And it also helped me for FaceTime, because I don't have to have Susan holding the phone the whole time. I can do FaceTime with the iPad on that tripod thing. So for older people, tripods are good.
There's so many of them out there now where you put the phone in it, and if you move, it moves with. I mean, they seem brilliant. They're $50, but it seems brilliant. But I'm not planning on doing any, dance moves in front of the camera.
No, we just got it's just a regular tripod with a mount. It's not expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying that you don't have to, but if you want to, it's just like an extra 10, 20 bucks, whatever. But yeah, like even the stand that I'm talking to you from now, I think it just cost me $12, and I primarily use it when I'm cooking.
I agree with Jane. I have an old tripod that also belonged to my husband, who did do photography, and it allows me to do a lot of crazy things. Like sometimes in the store, we want to kind of like, show the thing. I mean, we want to show the thing moves. So you can't show the thing moving if you're holding the camera and you're moving all together. So I really do like the tripod. I had two questions. When you were standing and you were talking about, when you take a full body selfie, you said have the thing at have it at about your navel.
Mm-hmm.
I think the camera that you were looking at that moment was much lower.
No, it was right at my navel. It was just because I was farther in the room. The room is at least probably 12 feet. That's why I want you to keep it at your navel when you're setting it up, because when you step back, it will grab everything and elongate everything. Whereas if you had it at your chest and you went backwards, then it will just make you look smaller.
Not always a real bad thing.
Some people hate it. Some people are like, I want to be taller.
Okay, so here's my other question. On Instagram, when I post something on there, I mean, I've kind of fooled around with it, and I've cropped it or blah, 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 blah. And then they have this little thing where it has these two little arrows, and you make it a little smaller so it fits into the screen of Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have a very difficult time. I've cropped it in a way that I like, but when I do that, you crop off your head or you crop off your feet or you do something like that. And so what I have defaulted to was having more background so that I don't crop all of that out, but it's not ideal.
Okay, so yeah, Instagram, I'm gonna try to share my screen. I can do that, Aline, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You need to just mirror the screen into the other screen and use the same Wi-Fi.
Okay. So what I do, let's see. I don't know if I can do that, and I don't want to take people's time. So basically, there is a free app called Photoshop Express. I think it's called Photoshop Express. Let me find it. And I can send everyone an email on how to, it's called PS Express. And basically within that, it's a photo editing software. And when you finish editing your software, editing your photo, you basically, when you export it, it will say, crop this image to Instagram. So it will build a white background to the side so that when you actually upload it to Instagram, it won't crop your photo.
Oh, okay.
So I do that primarily in Photoshop, or if I'm too lazy, I use PS Express. But yeah, that is annoying because sometimes I want to share a really long photo because that's the crop I want, and I can't do that. So I make up a background that's usually a square, and then I put the image inside of there. And then the perfect thing is that when you finally post to Instagram, people can zoom in on the photo.
Right.
So I can share that with Aline, a step-by-step for everybody, and you can download it. And it's totally free. You don't need an Adobe membership.
Do you want me to mirror it? Bianca, I downloaded it. Do you want me to mirror it into, it's still downloading actually. I can mute it.
There's a couple steps to set it up.
Right.
But I can do like a quick, like
We can find a
step-by-step I can do a step-by-step PDF for everybody so they can download it.
Oh, don't worry though. I'm sure there's a tutorial out there that is available.
Okay.
So only if it's.
And here's my
I have a question.
Sure.
My name's John Post. Brenda Post is my wife, and we own a company called Curve Couture. We've been doing a lot of product photos, and I do that with a white background, professional white background. I'm using a Canon Mark 6D2 camera. And then we have a set of 6 lights that we use for studio lighting that goes from about 7 feet tall down to about 3 feet tall. Depending on it, we're using backlighting in the background. If I'm taking pictures of her in clothing, would I use the same soft studio lighting? I've got the umbrellas in the front, not in the back, reflecting. Would I use that same soft lighting, or what would I do to take a good picture of her?
Okay, so you actually use 6 lights for your product photography?
Yes.
Okay, you can actually just do it to 1. I can send you something because I do product stuff for Scholastic all the time, and it's just very easy to just basically light up the background, and then the light that's spilling from the background, you're lighting the product. But 6 lights you really don't need to use. For her, I would use 2 lights. So basically, you want to blow out the background and expose the background much brighter. I would use a bare bulb light.
Yep, that's what I've got. I've got a bare bulb in the back.
Yeah, so do that, expose it. And remember, you want to keep her around like f7.2, f8, so that no parts of her are blurry or getting blown out. And then lower the light control that's on her with an umbrella, but don't have the umbrella close to her. Bring the umbrella at least like 6 feet, maybe to the left or the right of her, not in front of her. Because you still want some like slight shadows, but not harsh shadows coming at her. I would try that. And then you can just go from there and adding more lights if you want, but that's a pretty generic way to have white background, beautiful model, beautiful clothing, no harsh shadows. Oh, and then when you bring the light that's in front of her, raise it just a little bit. Just like, you know, a little like above eye level.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can I go back to Sandy's question? Sandy, okay, you go and then I'll go after you.
Okay, I had a second question, which had to do with when you're shooting videos from your iPhone or your your phone and your camera. Is there a way to stop and resume as opposed to stop? I haven't figured it out because it stops and then it's like I start a new video. I would like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would. It's because you're using the iPhone software. I haven't looked into that, but I know there's a software that it's basically you're creating stop motion animation. But there's a software out there that probably is free that you can do that with, or even probably downloading a program like TikTok. They also have programs in it, and that's how you can start and stop at the same time. I'd look into TikTok for a free program, and then I can maybe get back to you, see if there's more of a professional program that's not too expensive or not costing at all that would do that. But it's just because Apple hasn't come out with anything, because they're usually behind the curve. And I'm assuming that probably with their next update or 2, they're probably going to come out with something where they can do stop motion. Because people are actually using iPhones for campaigns and for lookbooks and everything. Yeah, so.
There is an app out there, Sandy, called Timestamp.
Say it again.
Timestamp.
You know everything, Jen.
No, I had an issue where I did a video and it ended up being 2 parts, and there was no way for me to flip my camera in the middle, and I got frustrated. So I Googled, and on Timestamp, you can stop it and pause it, and you can flip it in the middle.
Thank you.
Okay. Enjoy.
There are 2 comments on the chat about also that, are there any special apps free that can filter and jazz up pictures?
Yep, the PS Express, same app. It has tons of filters, tons of things that you can do on it. And like I said, it's free. You don't have to be an Adobe subscriber.
And Jean-Wes says that iMove is good for editing videos. very easy to use. Would you recommend that, I guess?
I mean, that's an Apple product. It comes with the iPhone. It also is on your desktop.
Yeah.
I'd like to recommend InShot, which I'm using. It's also very friendly. There's a free version and a paid in-app purchase. Used it on Apple products. I don't know if it exists for other products, but it's great. You can add different elements and filters, and you can put several videos together as well.
What's the name of it again, please?
InShot.
INSHOT?
Yes.
Thank you.
And Brenda is asking for social media is a good question. Do you recommend using the square photo rather than rectangle?
It depends. Some people like to curate their Instagram. So if you go to their main page, everything is either a square or everything is shot on a rectangle. So you'll see these like floating rectangles with white space in between that makes it look more, I don't want to say professional, just more elegant. But that's totally up to you. I don't do that because each photo it could be a square, it could be a rectangle, it could be, you know, 2 images, so they have to be cropped the same. So that's entirely up to you.
All right. Question, Bianca, you know, there's the trend in Instagram, I would say lately, to actually crop heads or on the angle. Is any trend that you think that would be right now the right way? Well, you just said no right way, but as long as we look elegant. But in terms of cropping, is there any new rules in the industry?
They've been pretty much the same, but also all rules are meant to be broken. The only rule that I always abide by is the no floating body parts. That's just something that stuck with me since college. But I think that, you know, I think more so than just plain photographs, I think having video is more important to always have with the photograph, you know, especially for everybody's expertise with fashion and, you know, products and stuff. You know, I always say that customers need to be shown that how to wear the product. You know, they just can't see it they need to see it on a mannequin, but then they need to see it in motion. There's other things that like I see on a model and I'm like, I can't envision that on this body type, or how does that flow, or how does this fabric feel, or anything like that. But once it's in a video form, it really comes together. That's why when I started fashion photography, I really looked at ASOS because they were doing that way before everybody else was doing. And I think even if you're doing like a low grade version of it, just, you know, not a professional white background, just to have your customers see the clothing in action, it just would really help.
Thank you. Michelle, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, I have a question. When I take photos and then I'm trying to import my photo to another program, what looked perfect all of a sudden turned off to the side. Do you know why that happens?
I'm sorry. Aline, can you mute yourself?
Yeah, Aline. Mute yourself. Mute yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the, okay. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question before.
So when I've taken a whole bunch of photographs on my tablet, and then when I'm trying to upload those photographs to another program, they all of a sudden turn on their side, and then I have to turn everything back, and it's really a pain. Do you know how to get them from turning on their side when I'm moving photographs from one place to another?
Yeah, that's an auto rotate thing that's in your settings. So are you using an iPhone?
I'm using an iPad.
An iPad, okay. So if you go into your settings and photo, there should be a thing that says like cancel auto rotate, and that's probably what's happening. How are you shooting the photos? Because it tries to see like, oh, you might be shooting it this way. So like if it's like this and it's flipping it this way, maybe turn it the other way like that, and then it wouldn't auto rotate it like that.
But when I shoot it, it looks perfect on the iPad. But then when I transfer it to the other place, then it flips. Is that?
What are you transferring it to? Just Photoshop or another program?
Another program.
Okay, it could be something in the other program, and again, you probably have to go to your settings in that program and click off auto rotate. That's probably what's happening.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, hi, I'm Patricia, hi. I was wondering about transferring photos. You know, I do a lot on my phone, and that's fine if you want to upload to Instagram, but I also would like to sometimes incorporate those photos in a newsletter. Like I'm doing MailChimp, and I'm thinking about changing to the other one that they were talking about on the call. Flavio, exactly. And I also upload now just for necessity onto my Shopify site. So what I've been doing is putting everything into Dropbox, then opening my screen. And so I'm finding I have so many doubles of everything, and I'm trying to figure out a way to streamline all that. And I guess the reason is to try to get organized because I've got photos on my laptop, I've got photos in Dropbox, and I've got photos on my phone. So I've got photos that I'm taking kind of everywhere.
Okay. Do you have a subscription to Photoshop and Bridge, or are you working?
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not sure what those are.
Okay. I won't steer you into that direction because that's just another entity.
Okay.
If you're using an iPhone.
I'm using an iPhone, yeah.
Okay. So actually, with your iPhone, you don't need to use Dropbox. You can basically have, so you have your iPhone and you have your desktop, and both phones and the desktop have an app called Photos. And if you have your cloud link, it basically syncs whatever's on your phone to your desktop. And then through that, you can make folders and stuff like that. And then just drag the photos from your photo app on your desktop to your actual desktop. That's why you have so many duplicates, because maybe you already have iCloud synced on your desktop, and then you're with the Dropbox link, you're actually putting duplicates in. And also, I don't like Dropbox because sometimes it will sync something and you'll delete it and it's not really synced, so it will stay in the cloud and not on your desktop. So I usually, if I'm going to transfer something to my desktop, I just use WeTransfer.
What do you use? I'm sorry?
WeTransfer.
WeTransfer.
You can transfer up to 2 gigs for free, and then after that, you have to pay for a bigger amount, but you can do like 2 different transfers of 2 gigs. But that's what I would recommend. Dropbox is just kind of finicky, and there's just a lot of it. With my filing system, it just never works.
So you would recommend basically make sure that you have that cloud link on your, because I have an iMac, we call it MacBook Air. So make sure that's connected, and just have, do I need to connect my phone physically to that, or do they just talk each other Bluetooth?
So if you're both running the same operating system on both, or the latest update one, basically go into your desktop, system preferences, go to, I don't know, there's like a cloud link, and then you just put in your credentials, and then it will say which things you want to link, which ones do you want to sync. And you can choose, I want to sync my bookmarks from Safari, I want to sync my notes and my reminders, or you can sync your photos.
My photos.
And for instance, like I have around, my professional photos are different than my personal photos, but I have all my personal photos synced on the cloud, and there's around 42,000 of them. And I only pay like maybe $3 or $4 a month to have them. Yeah, and then basically you can set a link that it doesn't download every single picture fully to your phone, so that it only downloads thumbnails. So you can always see the images on your phone, but on your desktop, it's always downloading the full one and saving it on your desktop.
And you can edit, so you don't do everything, because sometimes you take personals, and I'm trying to differentiate the personal from the business. It's all like everything seems to mesh.
Yeah, so within, just on your phone, you could just make separate folders for personal and business and just put them in that. It's super easy. I mean, even I do that, because let's just say I've been doing a lot of self-portraits while I've been in quarantine. So I take the self-portraits, I download to my desktop, and then I put them, I have the big, like the 2 gig file on my desktop, and then I make a smaller one for Instagram. But also the way that I work, I like to live with my images on my phone for a while before I post them, to see if I like forgot something. And then I can post them to Instagram or social media like that. But then at least on my desktop, I always have like say I want to do the self-portrait series and make it into a gallery one day. I can blow them up to like 50 by 60, you know, or I can have them like super small, like 1200 pixels on Instagram.
And just my last quick question is, what kind of format do you, I mean, this is kind of, for me, I've been using my phone. I used to have a camera, a Nikon, something went wrong in it. And to be honest, that's one more step in this day, because then you'd have to upload those photos onto your laptop. This is not me paying. If I were to pay a photographer, I'd let them handle it. But you know, when you have to do so many things on your own, I've been using my phone. And the video obviously on the phone is very appealing too, but there's just so many different platforms that you want to upload your images onto. Is there kind of like a cheat sheet to like the easy, I'm always wondering on dimensions, on pixel sizes, on widths, on lengths. I mean, I get lost. I'm sometimes just crop, I stick it on there. Okay, looks good. But I would be really interesting to know for maybe just the basic platforms, what size do you shoot for? What I'm confused on what pixel sizes, gigabytes, what does, it's photography talk?
Patricia, I don't know, Bianca, I don't want to interfere with your, and I also don't want to take a lot of time, but Patricia, I can definitely post, you know, the web recommended resolution. Unless, Bianca, is there something else that you would recommend? I can help you with that, Patricia, in terms of sending you web dimensions rather than high resolution.
Yeah, I would always shoot for the biggest quality image. And then when you go to web, Aline will send you the requirements for because Facebook is different than Instagram. And the Facebook thumbnail is different and the story icon is different. It's like there's a lot of math that goes involved. If you're on your desktop, because I also work on web at my other job at Scholastic, when we make images, we want to make sure that everything is under 600 kilobytes so that everything loads really fast, but also loads clearly as well, and there's no pixelation.
Okay.
Okay, Bianca, we have a question here, 2 questions. What is the best way? Shunzi, I'll get back to your question at the end because it's a general question. But for Bianca, what is the best way to learn how to use Photoshop? And what about video on a website?
Okay, so for Photoshop, if you want to dive into retouching, my favorite, I'm always learning, no matter what. I mean, I've been a retoucher for 15 years. I've been a photographer for 22 years. And there's always something that I can learn, and my skill set just keeps getting better and better. And most of those tutorials that I read, that I watch, is on YouTube. So the first one that I would recommend, it's this really amazing guy from India, and he just got certified from Adobe like last year. He's blowing up. The name of the site on YouTube, if you type it in, is pics, P-I-X, imperfect, I-M-P-E-R-F-E-C-T. He gives you tutorials on how to take a model out of a white background and put it on another background, web sizes, just even some video stuff. And also he does it with like a way that just doesn't make you feel stupid. He just is very intuitive, and he's nice, and he jokes, and he's just wholesome and fun. I would start from there, but you don't need to pay for any like crazy subscription service or try to find like, you know, a $500 tutorial system. Everything is right on YouTube and for free. You just have to watch a 5-second video. But that would be the first person that I would go to at least learn some stuff. And what was the second part of the question? The video thing?
Video on a website.
What about it?
Yeah, what about it? Meaning how to put a video on a website, the question? Who is asking? Terry, what's your question? You give us the question, Terry. Unmute yourself and tell us. Where is Terry? I'll find her.
Just whether you think it's good to put videos. And I sort of answered my own question before, after I wrote that. Yeah.
Okay.
I think videos are super important. The main thing is just to make sure that they're accessible, which means that they won't take a long time to download, and that even a 90-year-old or a 2-year-old can play it. That would be like the only thing, just to get the technical aspects of it. But I would just even use it, because for instance, if you have a website, you can integrate Instagram into your website so that the videos can play seamlessly. And it's super easy to do it that way. But I'm really, even though I technically don't have any videos on my website, it's something that I've been using stories more just to show that, because people like to see behind the scenes. They even like to see like who you are. What else do you do other than being in the store? Like, people like to see that. It makes you more human, more genuine. So I'm all about videos and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and to end with Shunzi's question, because you're asking Shunzi about taking photos of an event, like what's actually relates to what Bianca is saying now, behind the scene and who you are, other than just selling clothes, you're doing events. And so Shunzi is asking if we're asking permission from customers. I guess it's not a photography question. But guys, do you have, I mean, we usually don't ask permission if we just take a photo of something happens in the showroom, or yeah, you just ask your girls, is it okay to take a picture? I mean, anybody has a different idea about it. I don't think it's an issue to take a picture that something happens in the store that you share.
I think from time to time, we have customers, I'm sure we all do, who are averse. You know, they don't do Facebook, they do not do it. So they tell you, so fine, you don't put them.
Yeah.
But you just say, you know, I'm gonna post this because I think you're so cute. And if they say, then you don't.
Yeah, you have to ask the customers, because it always comes down to them. And even if, like, you know, they can't sue you or anything like that, but if it makes them uncomfortable, you know, you don't want to lose a client. And maybe, like, you know, you could just keep asking, and maybe down the road they will let you photograph them. Again, it's more of the connection that you have. But yeah, I always ask everybody's permission, because, you know, you'll always get one person that they're going through something and they don't want to be out exposed, and you want to, you know, treasure that. You want to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah, agreed. Bianca, you're awesome. And I'm in a dark room and I'm trying to play with the light now on top of me and see if it works. Not
Go
so
backwards. Go
And
backwards.
Bianca, I think I speak for all of us. You're so, I mean, the blue lipstick, the beautiful eyes, and the, I mean, and you still, I don't know if they're yours or you get them, but the eyelashes, so fabulous. Thank you for inspiring us. Oh my God.
I miss all of you ladies so
Yeah,
much.
good seeing you.
I can't wait to see everybody again when this is all over. Seriously, just
no hugging.
I'm all about 6 feet drinking through a mask, just as long as I can see everybody.
Yep. Yep.
But
Be
you're
safe in New
definitely
York.
awesome.
This was really inspiring. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much.
You're very easy to be with, as we all know, and that's part of so great working with Bianca. Just very, very comfortable, and always yourself and authentic, and it's just wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll let you go, Bianca. I'm so thankful for your time, and you guys can stay on the call, everybody else, so we can say goodbye to each other. But we say goodbye to Bianca. Thank you so much for your time.
Always.
Thanks so much, Bianca.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
gallery view, guys. So we can say goodbye, and Aline can remind us what we're doing tomorrow, and just to see the faces of everyone one more time. Take on, Aline. What's tomorrow?
So tomorrow we have another expert. We have Dana. She is gonna come and talk to us about the secrets of how to manage a successful Facebook group. It's not going to be a traditional presentation in the terms of she's going to, you know, do what I do with you to give you bullets and you know, how-tos, but she's going to rather share her story and how she does it. You know, we kind of, it took us a long time to form this session about Facebook groups, because they're, you know, just like we talked yesterday, there is no recipe. And we think it's much more important that you hear specific Facebook group managers that are very successful, to hear their story and how it came to be. And I'm trying to bring you more Facebook group managers, not for tomorrow's session. Tomorrow, Dana is asked to kind of tell her story and have a conversation with you, rather than have a panel. So I'm trying to work to bring more people next week. But I'm telling you all of this background so that you know that there is no one way to do things. It's kind of like whatever works for you and your audience, and how the conversation flows for you. So when you listen to Dana's story tomorrow, don't take it to you to say, I don't, that's not what I do. That's not what I can't do that for myself. Because next week I'm going to bring someone else to share a story, and they're going to tell you something else completely, which would resonate with you much more. So that's tomorrow. And Friday, I'm going to answer your questions about Google Analytics, Instagram apps. And when I finished the session yesterday about emails, I felt that there were a few things that we didn't really hash out. And I'm going to kind of just add a few more points around email tomorrow. Friday. Tomorrow and Friday are basically the same. We all know that, right? So it's just a name of a day.
The other day.
It's just another day. Well, guys, awesome to see you. It's hard to say goodbye, but in Zoom, we now say goodbye like that. We just say, yeah.
It's just like the Queen.
See you later.
Yes.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank
Tomorrow.
you.
Bye.
Hi, Jamie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye, Sandy.
Okay.
Funny.
Me. Yesterday, Yale